So I want to talk about the streets of Big Lake today. And actually, before I do that, there's something I want to show you, because the monarch butterfly that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the migration pattern has brought them through Big Lake. And I wanted you to see this because this actually, when I was out at the golf course this week, I took these pictures here. And just so you know, I wasn't lying about the monarchs and Big Lake and all that stuff. So just look for a second. And today I want to talk about the streets of Big Lake. Not as in I grew up on the mean streets of Big Lake, but the actual streets, the physical streets, the construction, the ongoing project that you see every day on your way to school. And well, we'll get to that in a sec, but first I want you to have some discussion questions, and we'll do this like we've been doing with the timer and all that stuff. So I'll be right back. So everyone knows the streets in Big Lake need some work. Some of our streets look like this. They're bumpy, they're filled with potholes. Some potholes that have been filled, some potholes have not been filled. We all wish the streets looked more like this street. Long, smooth streets that you can ride your bike on without getting jarred around all over the place. And obviously, we're working on it. But every day when you go to school, you're reminded that they're working on the streets. Pennsylvania is all torn up. 12th Street is a mess. And you're thinking, this is such a hassle. Are they ever going to get this done? And why does it take so long? Well, let's look at our verse again that we started with last week, and then we'll come back to the streets here in a minute. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, we've already talked about this part about conforming and not conforming to the pattern of the world. Remember the candle and the mold. But this verse tells us we're most definitely changeable, that we can be transformed. And specifically, we are transformed by the renewing of our minds. If we are going to become who God intends us to be, we have to change the way we think. So, go back to the streets. Now, there are two ways to approach fixing the street. If the street needs just a little work, you repair it by filling in potholes, right? The city has a machine that's made just for this. It shoots a combination of asphalt pellets and oil into the hole. You tamp it down, you move on to the next hole. The street is repaired, right? But you can only fill in the potholes for so long before the street becomes just a series of filled potholes. And that's not really a good long-term solution. We're looking for long stretches of smooth road. These streets need to be renewed, but you can't just keep on paving over the old stuff. See, over time, the base layer becomes unstable. You have to go all the way down to that base layer. You have to dig it up, get rid of it, start over. That's what's happening on Pennsylvania and 12th Street. They've torn out several inches of the street so that they can start over. They take this giant, loud, obnoxious machine in. It looks kind of like this. Maybe you heard it outside your window at night. They dig out the layers. They chop up all of that base. They just get rid of it. Now, once you establish a new base layer, then you can start paving. But you can't rush the base layer, or you'll just end up with exactly the same problems you had before. So stay with me now. This is also how our minds work. Our verse in Romans says that we are transformed by the renewing of our minds, by changing the way we think. And we want to think differently, don't we? We know that we have some potholes in the way we think. You can see these potholes, like our negative attitudes, for example. or our default to entitlement, believing that things should go our way and getting angry when they don't go our way. We have potholes in the way we think. Now, we can repair potholes for a while. We can decide we're going to have a positive attitude, and for a few hours, maybe even a few days, we may try to make ourselves think differently about life. But this takes a lot of energy, and pretty soon that pothole shows up just like before. Or maybe we decide we're going to try to be more thankful, and for a few hours or maybe even a few days, we fill in that pothole too, and it's better. We can feel the difference, but then we forget to be thankful. We get heavy rain, and sure enough, there's that pothole again. So why does this keep happening? Well, it's because our base layer of thinking is unstable. The things underneath our thought patterns need to be torn out and replaced. So what's the problem with this base layer of our thinking? And is this a changeable problem or not? Here's what I think. I think our base is unstable because of one big lie that we've all bought into. We all believe this lie to some degree, and it affects everything else we think about. Here's the big lie. Life is about me. Now, I'm not saying that someone flat out told us this lie. In fact, the lie is much more powerful because it's an assumed thing and it's never really spoken out loud. But the lie is constantly reinforced by the messages we receive every day. The advertisement world is built on this idea. You need this to be happy. Sometimes it even shows up in advertising slogans. Burger King sold a lot of burgers by saying, "Have it your way." McDonald's, "I'm loving it." There's a makeup company that says, "Because I'm worth it." All of these are little reinforcements of this idea that life is about me. This has happened from the time when you were a little kid. Parents turn their lives upside down for their children. They do everything for you. Now, they are supposed to take care of you, of course. But if they keep doing everything for you your whole life, then they accidentally end up reinforcing the lie, and you hear it once again, life is about me. I'll tell you who can be the worst about this. I think sometimes athletes are the worst. I need the ball more. I'm not getting enough touches. What's going to happen to my stats? There's one particular football player that summed it all up when he flat out said, "I love me some me." So where else are you hearing this lie? You ever heard this phrase, "If you can dream it, you can do it"? It sounds great at first until you stop and look at it and realize this is just another way to say life is about me. Can you see how this lie affects the way we think about everything? Almost anything we get upset about is based on how it has affected me. I didn't get what I wanted. The world should adjust to me. Even the street repair itself annoys us because we are thinking this is really inconvenient for me. If we're going to change the way we think, if we're going to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, we have to stop filling potholes and tear out the base. Until we get to this big lie that is underneath it all, tear out the big lie, we will just be making short-term repairs. Let's go for long-term, lifelong, mind-changing renewal instead. So how do we tear out this lie? Well, here's the first action step. Start noticing the lie. Start paying attention to all the ways the lie is being reinforced. When you're watching sports, when you're shopping online, when you're checking social media, when you're hanging out with your friends, when you're frustrated, upset, angry, is this because I am believing the lie? Start noticing the lie. Do you remember what the lie is? Life is about me. Now, a couple of things here just in the middle. One, this is going to be really difficult. You see, filling potholes is easy. Tearing up the base is hard. Tearing up the base interrupts your life. You have to stop just reacting to everything. You have to start actually thinking about things. It's going to be difficult. Second thing is this. It will take time. Filling potholes is fast. Tearing up the base takes weeks, as you can see by 12th Street in Pennsylvania. We have a lifetime of thinking wrongly. We have a lifetime of a base layer of thinking based on the lie that life is about me. So don't expect that tomorrow morning you're just going to wake up and stop believing a lie you've been told for the last 15 years. But as you all should know by now, everything worth doing takes time. Becoming a good football team takes time. Rebuilding strong relationships takes time. Making the honor roll takes time. Rebuilding the streets takes time. Changing the way you think takes time. So this is the start doing thing for this week. Start believing that life is about something much bigger than you. We'll have to take some time in the next few weeks to talk about the truth that needs to replace this lie, the truth that needs to become the base of our thinking. But for now, let's just start believing that life is about something much bigger than you. We need to change. We need to be transformed by changing the way we think. Let's rebuild our minds. Let's stop filling potholes and get all the way down to the base layer. Let's tear out the big lie, the lie that life is about me, and let's rebuild this road. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. So when you're riding to school this week with your parents, or you're driving to school and you get to the construction and it's a real pain, I want you to stop and think. They're doing it right. They're tearing out the bad base and they're rebuilding the road. They're doing it right. And then I want you to think, what do I need to tear out of my way of thinking so that I can rebuild the whole deal? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds.